My name's David, and the Chronological Bible reading for May 27th is 1 Chronicles chapters 26 through 29 and Psalm 127. In chapter 26, verse 12, we see this section of people being chosen to do specific jobs as through the act of casting lots. Casting lots was almost like rolling dice, but they trusted in the sovereignty of God to speak to them. And so they would ask God a question, or they would say, who's going to do this? They would cast the lots, and that's how they would know what God's will is. Throughout the Bible, people got answers to their questions by casting lots, by asking for signs. But in the New Testament, we saw that people would ask the Holy Spirit. And so we no longer need to cast lots, but we can still ask for signs. Sometimes when you are struggling with a decision and you're not sure which way to go, ask God simple yes or no questions. 90% of the time, the first answer that pops into your head is what God has been trying to say to you. And it's fine to ask for a sign. Gideon did. I have. And I'm sure millions, if not billions of others have as well. In chapter 27, we see the military divisions and how they had a monthly rotation. 24,000 troops on for 1 month at a time and then off the rest of the year. Certainly not to say that they didn't have any responsibilities for the other 11 months, but when they were called out to military duty, they typically went for 30 days. How much healthier would their families have been having their dads around 90% of the time compared with how our military does it in America, with men and women serving on board ships for 6 or 7 months at a time? For our troops deploying to foreign countries for 10 or 12 or 13 months at a time. In chapter 28, David says that God chose Solomon to sit on the throne after David. Isn't it interesting and kind of God to take the second born son to David and Bathsheba and exalt him and make him king? And in verse 7, God made a promise through the mouth of David. I will establish his kingdom forever if he perseveres in keeping my commands and my ordinances as he is doing today. Solomon, as a young man, was godly and was given the ability to become king, the greatest, wealthiest, and wisest king the world had ever seen because of his godliness, and was told that his throne would be established if he continued to walk in that godliness. We know that Solomon did not continue to walk in that godliness. He became quite worldly. I imagine it would have been very difficult to remain humble when you have kings and queens sending you gifts from all over the world, coming to hear you speak because you're so wise. I don't know that anyone could maintain true humility when the entire world recognizes that they are the wisest person alive. And so Solomon did not maintain his godliness by keeping God's commands and ordinances. But no judgment from me, I don't think I would have succeeded in that either. May God help me and all of us to be humble, to keep his commands and his ordinances. I love how David tells Solomon, Solomon, my son, know the God of your father and serve him wholeheartedly and with a willing mind. For Yahweh searches every heart and he understands the intentions of every thought. If you seek him, he will be found by you. But if you abandon him, he will reject you forever. Yahweh has chosen you to build a house for the sanctuary. Be strong and do it. How powerful must those words have been to Solomon to hear from his father? How would your own life be different had you heard those words from a parent? And how can you impact the lives of your own children as you pray over them, receive a word from God about them, and then proclaim it to them? Again, in verse 20, David says, Solomon, be strong and courageous, and do the work. Don't be afraid, for Yahweh my God is with you. He won't leave you or abandon you until you've accomplished all that you've been called to do. May we be a people who bless our children, physical and spiritual children. May we prayerfully consider what God has for them and encourage them to walk in it, to not be afraid, and perhaps most importantly, to not be afraid because Yahweh, our God, is with them. He will prosper them. He will complete the work He has begun in them. He has given them a hope and a future. May we speak it over them. And I speak it over you. God bless you, my friends. Thank you for being on this journey. May you hear the voice of God speaking, calling you to do great things, partnering with you to advance His kingdom, blessing His holy name. God bless you and keep you. Make His face shine upon you. We'll see you tomorrow. And for those of you who want to go deeper, live on Sunday, make sure you check out BibleInOrder.com for all the details and the prayer calls that are beginning this week.